The hosts of bracketology are experts in nothing. They claim no advanced knowledge or profound insights. Instead, they are just three judgmental idiots who really like to bloviate their own opinions whenever given the chance. Take what they have to say with a grain of salt, or not at all. You'll probably be better off that way.
We're all millennials, right? Yeah, Dan's a little bit on the boomer
I'm on the
side.
fringe, I think.
Elder millennial, I think is the
elder millennial.
Millennial. He's a millennial. It's like a millennial, but from 1920.
We need to set expectations for these episodes. Clearly, based on my background, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm not at home at the moment. I have traveled for work. I'm still in work attire. I'm exhausted. I'm slightly tipsy. I have a couple cocktails.
He just showed us his ass, and it was disgusting.
He literally did just show us his ass.
We also, you know what? Fuck it. Why not? So, I sleep in my underwear. That's all I sleep in.
No, you're doing it wrong.
No nothing?
Wait, hold on. If I wear a shirt when I sleep, then I get like too hot and I sweat.
No. Okay. Important question, though. What kind of underwear do you wear?
I'm a boxer briefs kind of guy, right?
Wait, Dan, are you for real? Are you a tighties whities?
No, kind of guy? I am 100% boxers.
Uh-huh. I can't do the loose boxers anymore. I feel like I've outgrown that.
Nuts get away from you.
Yeah, I was a boxer guy like through college and stuff, but later years I've gone to boxer briefs as well. I need that support during the day, but at night, nah, I need everything to hang free. I need that for the comfort.
That's weird. I don't know. Like
it is weird that you sleep naked.
Like when I sleep naked. When I sleep naked, hold on. When I sleep naked, like I'm all over the place. You know what I mean? Like it's too. It's like I can't even describe it. It's like a fucking astrological sign down there.
All 2 inches flopping everywhere.
I get what you're saying though. Like when I sleep, I move a lot, and that causes the bits to move a lot. And
I've seen you squeeze your nuts, but from just standing, like somehow they got tangled up.
I need something to keep them at least confined.
Look, I got 2 little kids, and they are they co-sleep with us. They're in the bed, so I can't sleep naked. But yeah, like a pair of basketball shorts or some loose fitting shorts. That's my whole. I don't need.
But without underwear, why not the underwear instead of the shorts? I don't want that
constriction. I don't want the constriction that comes with boxer briefs. I need the freedom. I need comfort.
Dan and I need to contain our stuff. You know what I mean? Like that shit'll be.
No,
poking
I'm
people
letting
in the
mine
eyes
run
and things.
Wild and free.
That might be why he has 2 kids and we don't have any, Matt.
Because
he's letting his.
He's just all over.
My dick is wild and free. That's exactly it.
Well, this cold open got away from me. I was going to ask what your favorite Vine was, but
I never got into Vine. What
about just like early internet like video, like Charlie the Unicorn or
This Is the World. Damn, that's a pretty sweet word. Yeah,
I just saw a reel of a woman, and I love the template where it's just like me for no reason in any way, and then she just does "This is the world." Damn, that is a pretty world, and she just fucking recites the whole thing. It was wonderful.
Man, we just swiveled topics so hard. I think I got whiplash.
That was a pretty hard turn. I think my favorite it's so stupid, but it's that little girl going, "Look at all those chickens!
Look at all those chickens!
They're all geese."
Here, you want a real flashback? How about you remember the hamster dance?
I don't.
Oh my gosh, you both are looking at me like you have no idea what I'm talking about.
I don't remember the hamster dance at all.
You didn't go to hamsterdance.com? It was just a whole bunch of GIFs of these little hamsters. They were like, I know, hamsterdance.com sounds like a whole...
Yeah,
that's a porn genre I don't get into.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's poor
Look,
hamsters.
Sex positive, but animals, leave that shit out.
I know, it sounds like one of those sketchy URLs you used to get sent back in the day where it's like, I don't know what a lemon party is, sure, but I'll check it out. No, don't do that.
2 girls, but it was just hamster.
Oh no. The poor hamster. But it was just a whole bunch of gifs of like dancing hamsters, and they would just. And then there was the same repetitive song that would play. I can't believe you don't know Hamster Dance.
I don't. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was I mean, Charlie the Unicorn is one of my all-time go-tos. Every now and then, Charlie.
Yeah.
I'm going to Candy Mountain, Charlie. Oh, damn, my liver. Or kidney? I think I always fuck that up. But
I'm pretty sure it's kidney.
Yeah, that would make more sense. Man, we need to go back to the old internet.
I agree.
Like the frog in a blender thing from Newgrounds. All right, clearly I was on a different internet than you.
Yeah, I don't know what you were doing in like the early 2000s on the internet, but it is not what Matt and I were doing.
Not in any way.
There was a whole cartoon about like it was like a cartoon interactive game thing. It was like frog in a blender, and there was like a little cartoon frog in a cartoon blender, and you could push the button for like low, and it would spin around, and you'd be like, "That's nothing," and then you hit. Knock it up a little bit and he would be like wee, and then you take it too far and it would just blend the frog into frog juice. No, nothing. Okay, all right.
So
like
what
all.
About me makes you think that I would appreciate animal violence, cartoon or otherwise?
Look, you were the guy who said last week you wanted to eat penguin, so
I mean, but
I'm still looking forward to fried penguin. Still very much looking forward to that
little fillet of penguin.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know why, but somehow that just made me think of fillet of fish, which made me think of fish delight, which is what Trump calls fillet of fish, because he's an idiot. Sorry, I'm gonna bleep that word
because he can't fucking read.
And now I'm thinking about his penguin delight.
Penguin delight. All right.
Wait, now what is that a reference to?
Afternoon delight.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now I'm with you. Never mind.
How are Dan and I on the same wavelength for all of
I don't
this?
know. Because we never blended frogs. We're not psychopaths.
That's you are disgusting. Quick,
you guys, did you guys not spend any time on Newgrounds back in the day?
I don't know what Newgrounds is, man.
Oh my gosh, there's a whole subsection of the internet that you were just not depraved enough for. Clearly, I've been depraved longer than you two.
What's your login to the dark web?
I can't tell you, otherwise you'll know when we're coming for your kidneys.
Look, I'll sell them for the right price. You can have them.
Take you to Candy Mountain.
Fuck yeah.
Hello and welcome back to Bracketology, the podcast that definitively decides all things tournament bracket style. I am sleep deprived Scott Grubb.
I'm Matt Robinson.
I want to make a motorboat joke, but I'm going to leave it there. I, for this particular round, am the brain father.
There's a good question mark there.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Dan Default.
We're a very professional podcast when you're in.
Starting off with a bang.
This week we continue our series of surprise mini brackets. As Dan mentioned, he's the brain father, taking the reins as we record this week's episode. He has prepared a bracket for Matt and I that we have not yet been privy to. So I'm excited to... I'm not excited. I'm not going to lie. I feel like I should be excited, but I know you, so I'm not excited about what you have in store for us. So without any further ado, Dan, what are we talking about this week?
Do it.
This bracket is going to be very similar to Sexiest Mustache. We're going to be looking at girth. We're going to be looking at maybe wetness. And definitely some sog factor is going to be in there. Gentlemen, I present to you.
This is what, so
trying to figure this out.
Vamping is what we call the industry.
I present to you Mightiest Mullet.
Ooh. Okay. All right. Okay.
So I don't know why it's not in presentation mode.
Can you full screen that? Because it's hard to see.
Yeah.
Dan, okay. I love you, but
there we go. We should have really thought about the fact that we were going to have to make Dan share a screen and be technologically inclined for this.
Yeah. I don't know how I did this last time, but anyway, yes, we today are looking at the Mightiest Mullet. I was thinking about what is more me, and mullet just came to mind. So, starting off the chart, some would say the #1 mullet of all time, Billy Ray Cyrus. Going up against number 8, Miley Cyrus. It's the Cyrus Bowl. Then we have John Stamos versus
the Clash of the Cyruses.
Yeah, exactly. That sounds like something you'd need penicillin to get rid of. Then we have John Stamos versus Patrick Swayze. Kenny Powers versus Scarlett Johansson. And then the immortal David Bowie versus Rihanna. So then a little bit of a music twist there. And who knew that Rihanna sported a mullet for a good long time?
Yeah, not me, man. I'm going to be completely honest with you.
Nope.
So just to kind of initial impressions, I am surprised, but also not surprised because you are Danny Ray Mullet.
Exactly.
And then in addition to that, I never thought that I would have an opinion on mullets in any way. So this is going to be interesting.
Well, now I'm forcing you to.
Well, consent is still important. I want to make sure that that's
all right.
Not in this podcast,
gentlemen. I leave it up to you. Where do you want to start?
I mean, life's easy. Let's go top to bottom.
Yeah. I'm a top. Let's do it.
I saw your ass just a little bit ago. That's not true.
All right. Kicking it off with the Cyrus off.
Now, do we have any parameters here? Because there's an immediate answer to this.
I just said the parameters. Girth, sog factor, wetness. I mean, look at how wet his mullet appears to be.
Yeah, but
he does look like a pro wrestler that just came out on stage. Like he looks oiled up and soaking wet in that picture.
Whereas Miley Cyrus is like at least attractive.
Well, now hold on.
I don't know if I don't know if I agree with you, but are you saying that Billy Ray Cyrus is unattractive?
To me, yeah.
Especially
as he's aged. Like, I don't know.
Have you seen the latest in Billy Ray breaking news? You don't get the newsletter?
No. No.
This past weekend, Billy Ray went public in a new relationship. He's in a relationship with Elizabeth Hurley. So
Elizabeth Hurley's still around?
Yeah, man. Yeah. She rocking bikinis on Instagram on the regular.
We need to unpack some stuff here. So, A, you're on a Billy Ray Cyrus newsletter.
100%.
B, you didn't cancel your subscription given his political...
You got to separate.
He did not want to break his achy breaky heart.
No, you got to separate the art and the artist. And what Billy Ray Cyrus does is definitely art.
And third, I don't separate art from artists because that's difficult. I don't know. What are your thoughts immediately on the mullet, I guess, Scott? Because
I mean, look, I think there are a lot of ways that Miley Cyrus definitely excels beyond the career and social impact and just overall like being a good person compared to her father. But mullet's going to be a tough thing for her to compete in the same space as him. You know, it might be, reflecting on his life and career, the only thing he's got going for him. That and dating Elizabeth Hurley, like, which honestly, like, seems like a really cool thing. But then you think about, as you had just mentioned, all the concessions what that in turn means about Elizabeth Hurley and who she is as a person, really, it kind of brings down that attractiveness factor significantly. I can't think that there's many categories where Billy Ray Cyrus beats Miley Cyrus, but mullet might be the one and only. Because, I mean, we're talking mightiest, right? Like, that's the adjective of choice here. Mm-hmm. That shit is powerful. Like, I'm pretty sure Billy Ray Cyrus's mullet can bench press more than what I could these days, you know? That's just the mullet.
I like how you said these days, like you could at one point bench press a respectable amount of weight.
Look, you don't know what my athletic history used to be.
I don't.
But you're making a correct assumption.
Able-bodied athleticism.
It's not much different than it is today. It's never been anything of note.
I need to say something. Mullets aren't my favorite thing. I'm looking at
supposed to be
of Billy Ray Cyrus with a mullet. Some of them are better than others. Like, there are images of him with a mullet where, like, the top is like almost flat topped, and that doesn't look bad. But then there are other ones where the top is like feathered, and that's not a great look.
Well, keep in mind the times, buddy. This was like early 90s.
Yeah, I was 4.
That doesn't change anything.
Except that I didn't ever have a mullet. That's not true.
I will say, whenever I see kids like little kids, like 9 to like 4 to 12, like that age range and out, and they have like the full on aggressive mullet. I'm not gonna lie. I judge the parenting like near immediately.
Yeah, wasn't sure how you're gonna finish that thought, but I agree. Because there's something about doing that to a child that feels like abuse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, now Miley Cyrus with a mullet. I mean, Miley, here's the thing. She's had some ups and downs in her I don't know her, so I'm just going to say this with zero.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Unlike Billy Ray, he does not know Miley.
Thanks for clarifying that.
I want to say something, but I want it to this is meant as an outsider's view of potentially what she's gone through. It feels like she's had some sanity issues in the last 10 years or so, because being in the spotlight, who knows what her experiences have been. But she's still a very, like, objectively pretty woman. And the mullet in this photo does not take away from that. Whereas I feel like the mullet in Billy Ray Cyrus's, it takes away from it for me.
But we're not here to judge the total package. We're just discussing the mightiest mullet. You gotta almost separate the hair from the individual, you know?
I think that might be the issue, right? Is the images that I'm looking at are faces with the hair.
Yeah, I mean, because sure, like you talk Miley Cyrus, there's certainly an attractiveness factor there. Maybe not at the top, but she's there, you know. But man, Billy Ray Cyrus in a pair of jeans that you had to paint on back in the 90s, like your mom thought about him at some point.
You're not separating the hair from the head, and that's
what I'm saying, though. That's what I'm saying. Like you're comparing the whole package, and if we're being honest, again, clearly from the jeans, Billy Ray brought a package. You know, you can't. You can't. We're not talking about that though. This is specifically Mightiest Mullet. Mm-hmm. We have to take just the hair into account.
Now, are we just taking the photos you selected?
You can use any photo that you want.
So
that's way too much effort.
So from like a Google image search perspective, there is much more from Billy Ray Cyrus's camp available to choose from than there is Miley Cyrus's. So along that line, I will agree with Scott, just in terms of sheer volume.
Yeah. I refuse to look anything else up. I'm not putting that much effort into it. Why did you just make confetti go off on the screen?
I have no idea.
Okay. I feel like the picture provided of Miley Cyrus, it just kind of looks like she has a pixie cut that she just let go too long between haircuts,
a little long. Yeah,
Billy Ray Cyrus is full on committed. That is a mullet that took time, effort, energy, and a lot of product.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So is Billy Ray Cyrus moving on?
I mean, that sounds like the case.
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
There's a Miley Cyrus wig? Hold on. Oh, no. Cut Miley Cyrus's mullet haircut tutorial. That's on YouTube, by the way, in case you're wondering.
Now I wish I could redo that confetti thing, but it's not letting me.
It's not going to be in the episode, so continue.
All right. Next matchup, John Stamos versus Patrick Swayze.
I think this one's easy for me.
Really?
This one is, man, I'm not going to lie. This one's tough for me. But go ahead. You go ahead, Matt. Lay it out there.
It's the Stamos, man. Like, that hair was iconic. I wasn't even a fan of Full House, and I enjoyed John Stamos. You know what I mean?
But is it really mullet or is it just long hair? Like, is the business on the top business enough?
It could be business casual.
I feel like there's a stronger delineation between Swayze's top and back. Stamos's blends together in a way that just kind of looks like he was more inspired by Farrah Fawcett than Billy Ray.
I mean, there's definitely some feathering that's going on, right? And there's some, there's a little bit of volume added to the top, but I do still think that it is a mullet.
He definitely committed to the length in the back more than Swayze did.
Yeah, and I think that's a strong look for him. I also think that partly it's a mixture of, I don't know, like the character, but also him, right? Kind of going with like the 70s Chachi-esque look that you'd saw, or like 50s that you'd see in like Happy Days and stuff like that, but adding in the modern flair of the mullet.
Modern.
Yeah. I feel like John Stamos has always played that kind of like rock star character, and that it's rock star hair, which is not necessarily mullet. It's mullet-esque. It's close.
Mullet adjacent.
But yeah. Whereas Swayze, I feel like really committed more to the mullet. Now, from a presentation standpoint, though, I do like Stamos's better. It looks better, I feel like.
That's something I wouldn't be ashamed to have on my head, is Stamos's.
Oh, I so badly want you to grow a John Stamos mullet now,
bro. I'm with Matt. Look at this 5 head. I used to be a 4 head, but now to have that kind of thick Greek or Italian hair that Stamos has, shoot, give me that all day. Are you kidding me?
That thick European hair, wherever he comes from, wherever he hails.
Well, okay, but Jesse, what was it, Stephanopoulos or whatever? He was Greek. Stamos, is he actually Greek or is it?
I don't know, man. He's American.
Fair enough.
He also was in the Beach Boys.
He's technically still is. I think he's like an honorary member or some shit.
I mean, I do think you're right in that, like, it was more like a rock look for him, right? He was the rock star. But I do still think that it counts as a mullet in my eyes. Now,
it definitely still counts as a mullet.
On that note, going back, I don't know, 4 minutes, I've definitely thought about growing like the baseball mullet, you know, where like it's like completely shaved on the sides, but just like, and I've been told no many times. So my vote goes to John Stamos.
My vote also goes to no, don't do that.
No, my vote goes to fuck yes, do that.
No. No, don't do that. I know we just kind of talked about in the last matchup that we need to like only look at the haircut, but God, it's goddamn John Stamos. I mean, how am I to deny that? I think it's fringe on the mullet category, but I do feel like it's mighty. I feel like it was such a strong part of his personality and his character.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where his strength really comes from. I think it's mighty.
When I think of Stamos, I think of that hair. When I think of Swayze, I think of Swayze.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing him dirty, dancing John Stamos into the next round.
But yeah.
We followed the trail of fucking full ass crackers that you left behind. We just didn't like it.
All right, next up, Kenny Powers, whose hair does resemble that baseball-esque style you were talking about, versus Scarlett Johansson.
Confession. It's a confession. Something. I've never watched Eastbound and Down.
Me neither.
But have you seen anything with Kenny Powers in it?
100%. Yeah, I know who the character is. I just felt like I needed to confess that real quick.
He absolutely has a mullet in almost everything he's in.
Yeah, I've seen clips on the social medias, but I've never watched an episode. But I mean, I feel like the picture you provided captures it pretty well.
Yeah.
Plus, it is. I mean, the mullet is the haircut of baseball, in my opinion. Like that is. Let me rephrase that. I want to back that up just a little bit. The mullet is the haircut of white men in baseball, and I think that's an important factor.
I think what you're trying to say is that if you see someone with a mullet, you can assume that they know about baseball.
100%. Yeah.
Like if you see a picture of a mullet, of someone with a mullet, and they were to, like a survey thing, and they were to ask you what sport does this person watch, your first answer is going to be baseball.
Yeah.
Or NASCAR.
That's not. I mean, yeah.
That's not a. Yeah.
It's not a sport. That's a pastime.
That is 100% a sport. But
Get your Virginian ass out of here.
I think I know more about mullet culture than both of you. So
that's 100% true.
Genetics.
Now, I'm going to go back to it. Like when I think of Scarlett Johansson, I don't immediately think mullet.
What do you immediately think of when you think of Scarlett Johansson, Matt?
The Hulk?
Yeah, okay, sure. Hulk has boobies. Great for podcast medium. Long periods of silence.
Dead air.
Kind of hard to follow that up, though.
What am I supposed to say to that?
Yes, and then just move on.
So I do think, like, not trying to offend Scarlett Johansson in any way, but like, your mullet's not your thing. That's okay. It looks fine.
You know who I think she looks like in that picture?
Tara Reid.
Cyndi Lauper.
No, the mom from Brady Bunch.
Okay. Maybe with a little extra makeup, but although it is that same kind of hairstyle, you're absolutely not wrong.
It looks almost exactly like the actress whose name I can't remember.
Again, I feel like I don't know. To me, maybe women have an advantage here in
that they're prettier.
Yeah, for sure. But again, it just kind of gives off that same air of like a pixie cut that just went too long in the back. It doesn't have the same like business in the front. It still looks so fun and playful as a haircut that it doesn't. I mean, like technically, yeah, it's short in the front, long in the back. Like it is scientifically a mullet, but I don't know. I said that with a question mark.
It's in the mullet genus.
Now, I do want.
It feels like a different species.
I do want to point out, because I know you're not doing any extra research here, Scott. However,
no.
On the Google images, there are a lot of images of Scarlett Johansson, especially younger, with a mullet that does look a lot more traditional. Yeah, party in the back, business in the front.
Fairies are from Venus, mullets are from Mars. Nothing? Come on, that was good.
Were you listening at all to anything I was saying, or were you just coming up with that joke?
I was multitasking. She had more pronounced mullets when she was younger. Okay. I see. I can multitask,
and I do think that they look good on her, but I don't know. I'll give Scott a little bit of credit here. I do think that there's a little bit more of the. I don't even want to say pixie because I don't think that's right, because a pixie cut's going to be like spiked out on the back.
sure.
And it is just long on the back, but it is more playful. I think that that's a good description of it. I don't know. Kenny Powers has got to get my vote for this one.
Yeah, I think again, it's one of those things like, it's not to say that her mullet doesn't have might, but I think that because
of the
I
adjective.
feel like, well, and I feel like for men, mullet is such a strong choice that it becomes a significant part of the personality of whoever dons said mullet. And for Kenny Powers, that is definitely true.
Hey, how much trouble do you think we would get in to link to another video from our video or from our episode?
What? Probably
depends on the copyright of the other video we're linking to.
I have a feeling there's very little copyright to this video. Well, shit. The subject does sing in it, so that's unfortunate.
All right. Kenny Powers, moving on.
Which takes us to
David Bowie versus Rihanna.
I was not expecting her to show up on this list.
Look, I wasn't either, but if you look at her actual hairstyle, it is a true Kentucky waterfall. It is a mullet to the T.
To be fair, I didn't know what this list was going to be, but when you said Mightiest Mullet, I don't think Rihanna would have ever shown up on in my.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie to you. Rihanna's rocking that mullet hard.
Yeah,
like, it looks good.
I broke my rule for this one. I did do a little additional search because the picture that you provided, Dan, really does not show.
It's the front of the face.
Yeah, I can't see
You can
mullet.
clearly see her hair behind her
Scott
ear.
is looking at a screen this big.
Yeah, my laptop screen is not showing that level of detail. So like the rest of them, I can certainly tell they're mullets, but the picture you provided of her, I couldn't tell that it was a mullet from looking at it. So I did a little additional research, and that might have given her a competitive edge here. That's slightly unfair, but it is a fucking strong. She committed to that shit.
Not only did she commit to it, it fucking works, man. I think that like this may be one instance in which the mullet was the correct choice.
Maybe that's why the females in this bracket up to this point are in a disadvantage, because it works better for them. Like on
there's
guys,
less funniness about it.
Yeah, on guys, it's such a choice. It's such a personality trait. For women, it kind of works better. So it kind of depletes the strength a little bit because it's not such a predominant thing on them.
But even if we compare this to the other women that are on this bracket, with Scarlett Johansson, with Miley Cyrus, this is a much mightier mullet than both of them.
She might be the exception to the rule, though, because that is a strong mullet.
No offense intended to David Bowie. So if you're listening up in Frontierland, thank you.
Okay.
But I think I'm going to give my vote to Rihanna on this one. I do think that it's a stronger mullet.
Yeah, I think if you asked me right off, like, to describe David Bowie's hairstyle, I don't think the word mullet would have come to mind, you know?
Feathered volume, but mullet not necessarily.
Yeah. That's not saying that it isn't. Like, certainly by looking at it, by definition, again, scientifically speaking, it is. But I don't think that's the first word that would come to mind. Do I necessarily associate Rihanna and mullets together as like a thing the same way I would maybe a Billy Ray Cyrus? No, but that mullet is mighty AF. So yeah, I'm gonna agree with Matt here, and Rihanna's gonna move on.
What just happened?
Rihanna just beat David Bowie again.
Oh.
Look, she's a billionaire. He never made it to that.
First female billionaire, so like entertainer, I believe, right?
I think that's right. Yeah, musician or something to make it that way.
Self-made, man. I mean, I don't look. I didn't know that I wanted
so
this.
mad at you two right now.
Yeah, no, we're aware.
That also was a factor as to why. No, that was also a factor as to why Rihanna got my vote, is just to make you mad.
Well, mission accomplished, because
You're still moving on. You're moving
travesty.
On. I'm watching you do the bracket, and you.
Yeah, I know. I'm moving on. Who should have moved on? This might be one of those moments like Bob Barker or The Rock for me. I'm glad I'm not arguing with you, Chuckle Fox, because it has to be David Bowie.
I just don't. I think we talked about it with Billy Ray and with John Stamos and even with Kenny Powers. Like, the mullet is such a significant part of their personality. I think maybe David Bowie's personality was stronger than his mullets.
Yeah, Goblin King, bro.
I mean, yeah. Rihanna's mullet, though, that thing is will
that makes headlines right there.
It does.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We haven't tied once yet so far.
Yeah, I know. This has been a very consistent bracket.
Right.
I feel like it's in our future, though.
Yeah, it's 100% in our future. What's next?
Next matchup, Billy Ray Cyrus versus John Stamos.
I think it might be here because John Stamos, man, that hair. Billy Ray Cyrus in the photo that we're looking at that Dan picked out looks gross. Like, he looks sweaty as shit. Like, he looks like he smells. And that hair does not help. John Stamos looks like he's freshly showered. He's freshly blow dried. He's probably freshly blown. And I think that I don't know. It's better for me.
I think that what you need to do is put a finger up, acknowledge Billy Ray Cyrus. You need to take that finger. I thought you were going to say
I need to hide the faces.
That's exactly. You need to take that finger and cover John Samos's face. Because is he handsome AF? Absolutely. Is that smile charming? Sure.
It's hard not to.
But again, kind of going back to what I said with David Bowie, if you were to ask me to, off the top of my head, describe John Stamos' hairstyles from the 90s, mullet probably wouldn't be the first word that came to mind. Like, it's
what would be the okay? I was gonna say, what would be the first?
It was big hair. It was feathered. It was like 1980s rock, like glam rock type hair that was kind of getting pulled back a little bit as we made it into the 90s. But that's what it was inspired by. Billy Ray Cyrus, like, if you look up the word mullet in the dictionary, it's fucking a picture of Billy Ray Cyrus. Like, that picture is the most aggressive ass mullet. Like, that guy in that picture is like replacing your roof on Friday afternoon, and then Friday night he's at the honky tonk, like
doing an open mic.
In his tonk.
It's business in the front party. I mean, that
do you think that the wetness is not sweat, but just the grease from the mullet just dripping down his face?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like he just finished his bucket of KFC, rubbed his hands together, ran it through his hair to put it in place, and then he went to the CMAs. Like, that's 100%. He's smelling up the whole place like KFC. That mullet is strong, and I think that mullet stands alone. We've said in other ones like Kenny Powers. Alone. Okay. Kenny Powers, like, the mullet is part of his personality. In this case, Billy Ray Cyrus is part of the mullet's personality. Okay. So Billy Ray gets my vote for sure.
So, this is our first tie.
This is our tie, Dan.
Matt went with Stamos. Scott went with Billy Ray. Which one would I rather have dinner with? John Stamos any night. Which one could potentially seduce me the same evening? Definitely John Stamos. But which mullet is mightier? Anyway. So I guess that leaves it up to me to tiebreak.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you this, fellas. I'm going to take my vote to the Old Town Road, and I am voting for Billy Ray Cyrus because that is the quintessential mullet. I know, Matt, you don't like that picture, but you can't.
I do think that's part of it, right? That's definitely part of it.
You can't find a better example of a mullet than what Billy Ray Cyrus did. There's no frills to it. There's no floof. It is straight mullet.
Okay.
All right. Next match, Kenny Powers versus Rihanna.
What an insane.
I love the fact that we're here.
I just love the idea, like behind the scenes here, I'm traveling for work this week, and so
I've been thinking about this the entire time.
I've been meeting with people that I don't typically meet, I don't get to see on a regular basis. And we were out to dinner, and I was telling everyone, I was like, yeah, I got to start heading back. I've got a 7:00 thing. And they were like, what are you doing at 7:00 in your hotel? I was like, I'm recording my podcast. And I've been describing it to people, for the first time in a while, and talking about like what we do and how we talk about it. And to like, just think about the fact that the next time I do that, I'll be like, oh yeah, we debate things like Kenny Powers versus Rihanna. Like, in what other context does
then you're going to have a follow-up, because it's going to be like, wait, just like as people, and you're going to go, no.
Specifically the mullet. Fun fact, did you know Rihanna had a mullet?
And then they're going to Google, and they're going to be like, oh, did not, but okay. I mean, in terms of mightier mullet, I think that, okay, hear me out on this. I think that Rihanna presents a stronger opening move with the mullet, with a surprise factor, right?
Okay, yeah, for sure.
Kenny it's like Powers, the RKO, the mullet comes out of nowhere.
It's out of nowhere, you know? Kenny Powers, what he's bringing to the table. The drip off the back of those locks are, they haven't been washed in a few days, but they are going to be there.
But he still delivers, even though you anticipate it.
And I think that that's the difference. I think the difference is that his has staying power. I think Rihanna's has that surprise factor. It has the RKO, but Kenny Powers has the pedigree.
You couldn't say the AA. I mean, he is the 17-time world champion now.
Oh, hold on. Can we just talk about the fact that we talked about the pedigree and mullet? Like, something about that just works.
I mean, Triple H had some big hair back in the day.
He had what many would consider a mullet when he first fucking debuted. I watched some videos, and he had a mullet at one point.
Guys, we talked about pro wrestling for 6 weeks. We can't go back down this path.
I just edited the fucking finale, and I do not want to go down this path again.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I mean, I think lasting power, I think staying power goes to Kenny.
Yeah, I agree. I think Rihanna, like you said, I would not have expected her name to be on this list anywhere. If you told me in advance what the topic was, I don't think she would have. I don't think I would have anticipated her either way. But Kenny Powers, man, like, I don't think you have Kenny Powers without that mullet. Like, I have to imagine that when Danny McBride was like pitching this character, it was he's a backwoods Southern baseball player with a mullet. Like that was part of the character description in the initial pitch.
Yeah. No, he grew the mullet when he went in for the pitch meeting.
Yeah.
He's like, sure. This is it.
So tell us about the character, and he just takes off a hat, and that's it.
He takes off a wig.
You got a 6-season deal. Yeah.
All right. Gets us to the final?
Yeah. The finale of Mightiest Mullet. Billy Ray Cyrus versus Danny McBride.
Kenny Powers.
Really?
No. I'm saying
you said Danny McBride. Oh. We're debating Kenny Powers.
All right. My apologies.
Scott and I were on the same page there. Dan just went, what the fuck? So here's the thing. I think that these two define two genres of the mullet community, right? You have
I didn't realize there were multiple. And to be fair, I can't see much delineation between these two, but I'm excited for your point. So go ahead.
I think Billy Ray represents the early 90s, late 80s country pop mullet community, whereas Kenny Powers represents baseball. Like I mentioned it earlier, the mullet is the baseball haircut.
Let me ask you this. Do you think there is any kind of a level of irony in Kenny Powers wearing that mullet? And does that, or should that, impact your vote?
I don't entirely understand what your point is, but what I will say is that life imitates art. And there are so many people in the Major League Baseball right now with a mullet. Was that inspired by Kenny Powers? Hard to say. Hard to say.
2 points here. One, I think Dan is right that there is a certain level of satire to the Kenny Powers mullet, and I think that it's specifically a satire of that 90s obsession that came with the mullet. Like he's satiring the time frame and the period that Billy Ray is coming from. Second point, you're saying that, you know, every team in the MLB at least has one person with a mullet. Sure. And it's the quote unquote haircut of baseball. But I think that Kenny Powers is able to satire the 90s time frame and the mullet obsession then because of Billy Ray. I don't think Kenny Powers would have as much of a mullet leg to stand on if it was, because Billy Ray didn't just inspire baseball players. Kids nationwide, like the mullet spiked in popularity because of Billy Ray Cyrus.
I can't agree with that or disagree with it because I don't have any evidence.
I think there was a significant increase in the frequency and the popularity of the mullet haircut in the time frame that Billy Ray was around, and I think he inspired that.
There was probably also a major increase in kids named Billy and Ray during that time frame.
That is more likely to me than him being the sole inspiration of kids getting mullets.
I'm not saying he's the sole inspiration of it, but I'm saying that he inspired the use of the mullet nationwide more than Kenny Powers inspired the use of the mullet in baseball. But I'm not saying because mullets were around before that. They were, they really
what was the
started
first mullet.
Fucking knows.
They really
Joan
started
Jett
in the
had
70s
a mullet. And 80s.
Yeah, back in the
70s and 80s were really like when they were the
mullet hairstyle's modern resurgence can be traced back to the 70s, with the 80s being its peak popularity.
I was about to say Paul McCartney had a mullet in his Wings days.
Tom Jones had a mullet during performances on the Ed Sullivan Show in 1965.
That's not unusual.
Ben Franklin kind of had a mullet.
So I just want to I want to bring it back to the mullet being the national haircut for baseball. I feel like if that is truly the case, we need to petition the MLB to now stand for Mullet League Baseball.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm good with that, I guess.
Sure. I'm not going to deny it. Why not?
It's really hard to argue with you on some of these things. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know. You know what? Let's just split it. I'll go Kenny Powers. Scott, you go Billy Ray Cyrus.
I don't want to be the deciding factor.
No, we can't do that to Dan for the finale. We have to find a way to come to agreement here. Is Kenny Powers really truly your vote in your heart of hearts? Or are you trying to do that?
If I'm looking at these two pictures, I'm going to say that his is mightier.
Really?
Yeah.
Look. Okay, hold on. you got to really think about the definition of the mullet, right? It is business in the front, party in the back. Okay. So again, I'm going to ask you to finger a little bit. Okay. Take that finger and cover the back of Billy Cyrus's head, and then imagine him as a VP in your company that you work for. You can see it, can't you? That haircut, that chiseled jawline, he looks like business. He's bringing business to the table.
What does the jawline have to do with the hair?
Shut up. And then cover the top of the head. Look at that hair in the back. Brother, he's buying you a round of shots at that party, you know? I think that Kenny Powers, I don't feel like the business is as strong with him. And I don't know that he's as committed to the party either. Like, he doesn't have that same level of length. He doesn't have the clean comb on the top. If you walk up behind Billy Ray Cyrus with a razor and you just go to the back of his head, I can immediately respect what he's got on top. Kenny Powers, you're still going to have to work with it a little bit. I feel like
he's got that slicked back. You know, that's a look in and of itself.
The commitment, and again, it's not with Billy Ray Cyrus. It was genuine. That was his hairstyle, and he was inspiring your children to have that hairstyle in 1994. With Kenny Powers, it's a bit satirical, you know, and I think that takes away from it for me.
And I respect that for you.
So we're in an impasse here, huh?
I think we're at a stalemate. I think we got to put it to Dan.
Okay.
I tried, Dan.
Yeah. Hey, I get it. And for what it's worth,
if it helps.
Yeah.
To tell the story of this surprisingly enduring haircut, we must head back to the very beginning. In 2018, a metal figurine dated back to the 1st century AD was found during construction in England. The figurine depicts life for native residents of England during the Roman occupation, and their totally rad hairstyles that archaeologists have hypothesized were commonplace for that era, which is the mullet. So 1 AD is really what it comes down to. Anyway, continue.
So, I mean, the mullet is life eternal, and the best representation of the mullet, the mightiest of the mullets, goes to Billy Ray Cyrus. That is a quintessential mullet.
I think it is a close matchup. I think it might be one of the closest finals we've ever had.
Mm.
But again, Billy Ray Cyrus inspired a generation.
It did, and you're right. The satirical level of Kenny Powers, because that is a character, and yes, he does it through several different characters, but they're all like Kenny Powers flavored, right? You have Kenny Powers Light, Kenny Powers, with Cherry. They're all still a satirical look on what Billy Ray Cyrus did, and I think that counts.
I don't think the mullet is able to be part of the Kenny Powers joke without Billy Ray Cyrus laying the foundation. Yeah. Ba-ba-da-da, Billy Ray Cyrus for the win.
Meow.
And now we have scientifically proven the mightiest mullet. Thanks, gentlemen.
Happy to help. I'm glad we could, again, scientifically solve the world's problems in podcast format.
That's what we're here for.
What do we have to look forward to next week, Matthew?
Yeah, we've got the last of the mystery brackets brought to you by me. So you'll find out about that next time
on Bracketology. As always, we want to thank Aaron O'Donnell from Aaron O'Donnell Music for the music you hear at the beginning and of every episode. You can find him on Aaron O'Donnell Music on YouTube. More importantly than that, we want to thank you for listening along as we have, again, scientifically solved the world's problems. As usual, if you enjoy the episode, we ask that you share it with your friends and family, coworkers, random strangers on the subway, however you want to tell people about bracketology, please do. Engage on social media as well. We're on the Facebooks. We're on Blue Sky. We're on TikTok. We have a Discord. Come join us in the Discord. We love talking to people about our terrible opinions. Yeah, I think that's an episode, fellas. We done? We'll see you next week for Matt's mystery bracket. In the meantime, I've been sleep deprived Scott.
Oh. I'm Matt.
And I am no longer the brain father, Dan.
He was never the brain father. He was the brain farter. Bye-bye.